concern for a lot of people. And when you have young people being polled from all aspects of life, all economic strata, political strata, ideological strata, they all overwhelmingly support the rights of gay and lesbian Americans, and certainly their right to same-sex marriage. And one other thing I want to point out, Rev, is that you mentioned the folks from Little Rock, from the Civil Rights Movement, calling on the governor to veto that bill. And back when folks in the Civil Rights Movement, African Americans, were trying to integrate lunch counters and public accommodations, they didn't have a whole lot of people on their side. They didn't have, in fact, they probably had big business siding with segregationists. Flip to what's happening now. Walmart, the #1 employer in Arkansas, the #1 private employer in the United States, #1 on the Fortune 500 list, headquartered in Arkansas, made it clear to the governor before the bill even got to his desk that he should not sign that bill. That shows how far we have come just talking about civil rights for everyone.
On that, Representative Armstrong, because a huge factor is Walmart. Walmart, it has 131 stores in the state. It's the largest private employer in Arkansas, more than 47,000 employees. And today, Walmart tweeted that it commended the governor for reconsidering. How significant was Walmart's position on this issue?
I think Walmart's position, along with several other corporations' position, was significant. I think the governor, as well as Representative Ballinger, needed to take a pause after considering that you've got the likes of an Axiom, a Walmart, other corporations, local bakery owners, local store owners that said, hey, look, we've had our legal staff look at this, and I understand that the representative that brought this bill forward is a lawyer, but I presume that these big companies paying these wealthy salaries to some of our great legal teams across the United States, and in particular here in our own backyard, offered up an opinion that just could not be refuted by the governor. And I think after taking a longer, harder look at it, and even more importantly, the fact that the governor highlighting that it was a generational issue, it is a race issue, there's several implications to what could have been had he signed that into motion. And I think him taking a pause showed responsibility as our governor, as a new governor here, showed a sign of respect for all Arkansans, showed a sign of respect and hopefully some admiration for his son. We've got way too many issues that have for long been a dark cloud over Arkansas, and I think if we would have taken a step today and the governor had to sign this bill into law, we could have seen another dark cloud on what has hopefully been a step in the wrong direction.
There is a dark cloud, excuse me for cutting you off, I'm trying to get a lot of this in. There is a dark cloud in Indiana, Jonathan, because Governor Pence talked repeatedly about how much he hated discrimination. But here's what he said about gay rights in the past. Representative Armstrong, let me ask you this. A lot of the 2016 candidates on the Republican side went out there with Governor Pence on this. Even though Indiana is now revisiting the bill, they got caught out there. Are they stuck out there on a limb now, particularly since your governor has kind of dealt with this differently?
Well, let's be clear. This is a national movement, and I think Governor Pence and the folks in Indiana, especially those members that have gotten themselves caught in this quagmire, now have to backpedal and think about what cost or what consequences come with openly passing legislation that would potentially cause harm by way of discrimination. I would hope, as I mentioned in the outset of the show, that our governor and our members on the Republican side of the aisle look at this as a more long-term approach as we look towards 2016, and they are now in control in most of these states that you see that have been cascaded across the country, and take a step back and look at the reality of what the people want. We've been elected for and by the people, and when the people show up, things change, and you saw that here in Arkansas. I think we've still got a long ways to go before we know what the governor's final say is on this piece of legislation. But as for my members and our small caucus of 36 members, we will continue to actively work in a bipartisan, responsible manner for the people that elected us to come here and serve them.
Well, we have a long way to go, but we've come from a long way to get where we are. So we can take the rest of the journey if we use the same commitment and determination. Arkansas State Representative Eddie Armstrong and Jonathan Cape, I thank you both for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Coming up, the injustice of